Hi, everyone. Thanks for joining.
Hi.
Hi, Stephanie.
Hi, how are you?
Good. How are you?
I'm good.
Good, good. Thanks for joining.
No, of course.
Let me get started. Great. Weekly Fashion Bites chat. I'm Hillary, founder of the Fashion Bites platform. We're here to support and nurture creative entrepreneurs, filling the gap between education and what happens in real life. This is our way to connect, collaborate, and share. Super excited to have Stephanie Horton with us today from New York.
Yeah.
Stephanie, please introduce yourself.
Yes, I'm Stephanie Horton. Obviously been in the fashion industry a long time by way of either brand or media, newspapers. Right now I'm currently CEO of a sustainable company called Hemp Taylor. But really excited to join, have had a very much varied career path. So I've done everything from finance to publishing to actually working at a brand in London at Farfetch and then Shopbop, obviously then what came back to the States and worked for Wang. So I think have a lot of different experience and a lot of different points of view of what's going on right now between fashion, tech, sustainability, and a lot of other subjects.
Okay, wonderful. Thank you. And we're going to dive right in. Thank you. So let's start with branding, first of all. I think it can be tough to know where to start and how to create your brand identity and message. So how do you know how to choose the right brand to send the right message to your current and future customers?
Right. I think one of the things, about branding is really knowing what your purpose is. I think, it's easy for people to think they have a brand, but I think you need a business first before you can really start to create a brand. So I think it's really understanding your business purpose, really getting that going, and then focusing on the brand aspect of it. So, how are you reaching customers? What is your identity? How does that play out through every single channel that you're marketing through? And how that really is sustainable and how it evolves with time. I think a lot of people start by like, I'm going to create a brand, but Target was a business before it was a brand. Nike was a business before it was a brand. These are all things that started as one thing and then built themselves to the next step. So I think what people should focus on first is building the business and then creating the brand.
Okay, thank you. No, that actually makes sense. Yeah. With a business, let's say that's further down the road, what what would you look at if you'd like to launch your business in a foreign country or a different region?
I mean, I think really the first thing you should do before you launch in a different in different region is understand if you have customers there. I mean, even when we launch domestically, like, do we want to open a store somewhere, that kind of thing, we really look at online data first to see, like, are we shipping things there? Is there an interest there? Take surveys. Have you built up a customer base there? Because the worst thing you want to do is spend money, time, resources, financially, as well as people open in a new region and really don't have any kind of traction there. So I think, you really should be doing some market research. Like, who are your competitors there? Are they different than the ones that are in your current region? Do you have awareness there? Does anyone even know who you are? If not, should you be doing an exercise of building awareness first before you go and, actually start building a bigger business? So I think, you just, again, just like anything else, you need to do a lot of diligence before you just open in another region, even if it's online, because you're going to be spending a lot of time and resources to get those things done. And if the customer space isn't there and the awareness is there, you're going to be doing it in vain because you skipped a big step.
Yeah, and you waste a lot of time and money, and
Exactly.
time is money.
Exactly.
Yeah. Yeah. With approaching marketing and communication strategy, um, how do you do that? Are they the same thing? Are they treated separately but linked? How does that work in a business?
I mean, I think all aspects of marketing are linked, from performance, so what you're doing online, to communications and marketing, but they're obviously different channels and skill sets, right? And should be handled differently, and you should be funneling different information through all those channels. So, you know, communications is obviously how you communicating your brand to your customer, to your shareholders, to your stakeholders. So I think that's, you know, one set of, you know, one set of issues and strategy that you have to make. Like, what are you trying to do there? Marketing is more about how are you sustaining your message with all these people. So I think, you know, when you look at, I think people sometimes confuse, you know, the both of them, and start to, you know, fuse them together, and it really becomes an ineffective exercise, because you're not really channeling the right information to the right things, and you're not marketing what you should be to the right people. Like, marketing is more segmentation, understanding who those people are, marketing the right message to them, or the right discount, or the right offer, and really making sure you understand that customer through CRM to keep the repeated exercise so that it becomes better. Communication is how do you keep your customer or your stakeholders or your shareholders interested in the brand? Like, what is it that you need to be putting out as far as a news type item, and what is it that you need to create that desire for them? So I think it's definitely a different channel, but all of your marketing functions should be synergistic. Like, you shouldn't be saying one thing in a communication channel and then become a whole different brand on Instagram, and then we go to your website and it's like, what's this? Then I walk in your store and I don't recognize anything. Like, you still need to be having some sort of cohesive message from the top of the funnel.
Okay, all right. Because I was thinking, with the marketing strategy, it has to support some business objective.
Well, the business should be, you know, I mean, the way this should work is the business should have an overall goal and objective, or two or three. And every single function of the business should funnel up to achieve that, right? So from operations to HR to marketing to everything. Otherwise, you're all on different pages and not going to ever achieve your goal. So that's the first thing. Like, the business should have some laid out goals that are key to solving for the quarter or the year, or, you know, the half year, and then every single thing should really funnel up to that. So marketing should be a core business. I mean, that's why marketing, I think, with the, you know, rise of the CMO or CSO or all these other things, is becoming much more strategic function, because it really is a business function and should funnel up to the success and the, you know, of the business.
Okay. What are some examples of matrix or things you can put in place to determine the success or failure of the marketing strategy or efforts?
Well, I come from a finance background, so everything I do has KPIs. So I don't, you know, I believe in, you know, gut feeling. I believe in following trend, but I'm also a big believer in data. So I think that, you know, especially now, where, you know, knowing your customer and understanding who they are and where they've been and what they want is so important, and it's so competitive. I mean, you're now competing with pure play online, who have a lot of money and all the data in the world. So if you're kind of not keeping up with how that's working, it's just not going to work today. So I think, you know, because we're basing a lot more things on data. If you look at marketing, you know, it used to be about, especially in retail and fashion, you know, it used to be about, you know, great parties and champagne and making sure your customers happy. Now it's about CRM and data science and, you know, that kind of thing. So I think there's obvious KPIs now, because the function has become so much more technical. But I think you need to, you know, whatever your strategy is, you need to be setting up. Like, you know, if I'm doing this, is my goal press? Is my goal customers? Is my goal, you know, getting more items? Like, whatever it is, you need to be setting up some goals and objectives for whatever you're doing, and make sure you're following through there.
Okay. Could you data? Yes. Thank you. Can you? We will most likely later on have like students, graduates, looking at this chat. Could you tell us, define more KPIs, what it actually means? Because some people may not understand the
So
The acronym.
key performance indicators. So, I mean,
Okay.
you know, probably with anything you do, you have like a key goal or objective to why you're doing it. And if you don't, you probably shouldn't be doing it. That's
Fair
all
enough.
I can say there.
Fair enough. During this current time, do you think that companies should be cautious in their marketing and comms approach, or should they just go for it and push forward?
Ooh, I mean, that's a really broad question. I mean, you know, it really depends. Like, I mean, I think the whole situation of everything that's going on with COVID, Black Lives Matter, it's not a binary solution. So, I mean, I think a company really has to take it on a case by case basis. I mean, if you're in trouble and you're in a crisis management situation, then you should probably be aggressive about what your strategy is to fix it. If you're, you know, if you have less issues, but there's things you want to fix within your organization, you should probably be strategic about what those things are, and then say something when you're ready to be able to act. I think one of the things that I've seen that companies have probably faltered on or made the biggest mistake was trying to rush out with like, you know, this is what we're doing. And, you know, a lot of it was kind of really just, they're not doing anything. Like we're making a donation and that's great, but how is that really helping your organization or the people in it? So, you know, I would go for a well thought out strategy and then communicate. Unless I was in a crisis, you know, obviously then I would go for trying to figure it out as quickly as possible and get a message going.
Okay. And as we know, there are many different types of marketing. You have influencers, ambassadors, digital, which in a huge part would possibly be social media. How do you determine what works for your business?
I mean, again, I think it's just not binary. I think you have to look at your business and really understand like who you are targeting, and is your audience mostly on social media? Is your audience, do you have an older audience? So it might be good to be online or be able to communicate to them through other channels. I think, again, it's really looking at your business and understanding your customer. I can't stress data and understanding your customer enough, because that should probably indicate and point to what channels that you're going to and that you're kind of like leading on, for your business. You know, it's not like I would never sit here and say, because Instagram or Pinterest is great, that's the only place you can market to. That's just not, that just doesn't make sense. And that while that makes sense and some brands have done really well on it, some brands have kind of really tanked with that strategy as well, because they just haven't been able to find the traction in their way. So I think it really depends on who your customer is.
Yeah, and there's a lot of talk at the moment, and hands up, I really haven't looked at it, but TikTok. Any thoughts about where you think that's going? Or, I mean, it seems like it speaks to a particular generation, but that can't last forever, I don't think. It has to be a wider audience.
Yeah, I mean, I feel like they have more issues right now than just their, like this whole companies are, they have like lots of privacy issues. So, I think TikTok is, I think everyone's looking for the next thing. Like, Instagram has now been around for a good 10 years. I think people are still obviously on it, but you can tell that interest is waning, and the way people used it when it first came out and the effectiveness it actually had as a marketing channel it's not the same. So I think, people are looking for what the next big thing is, or, how do we still communicate with our customers? How do we reach that younger customer? Obviously, TikTok kind of emerged as that platform. Is it sustainable? I don't know. I mean, again, I feel like they have a lot of privacy issues that people really need to take into consideration. So the sustainability of it, is still up in the air, because if, 2/3 of companies ban people from being on it, or you need to remove it from your phone, then obviously or if it's a China only solution, that's going to really affect its ability to grow. But, I think people navigate it to it because, Facebook is all but ineffective. Instagram is still there, and I think, you know, people still go, but it has a different reach now, and I think it has definitely slowed down as far as ROI, and it's also getting expensive, just like everything else. So I think, you know, I think people are looking for what that next big thing is, which I think is why TikTok had such a big, like, okay, here's something we can do that's new and different.
Right, right. So recently, we've been hearing about fashion reset or rewiring of fashion. Is this an opportunity to change? And if it is, what should we be looking at and paying attention to right now?
I mean, I think we're absolutely in the middle of a huge reset. And I think if you don't look to change, you probably won't survive phase two, whenever that is. You know, I think, you know, the indicators have been coming for a long time, just, you know, around sustainability, around, you know, just business practices, around inclusion, around technology and digital. And I think the brands that have stepped up are winning right now. You know, we're in the middle of a pandemic, business isn't good, but some people are doing just fine. And I think that's a reflection of their, you know, ability or foresight to kind of get into some of these areas that are really going to be effective. I think you can tell the ones who, you know, their tech wasn't strong and, you know, they have not been able to sustain their business, or they just weren't, you know, weren't prepared, you know, cash wise or business wise. So I think we're definitely in the middle of a huge reset. I think people, I mean, the beauty of like even working at the brand that I am now, like we have I don't pay attention to the fashion calendar at all. You know, I put things out when I want, you know, and, you know, it's more of a drop basis and it works, you know? So I think that, you know, the old school mentality is that everyone has to do the same thing is quickly fading. And I think brands who've taken it upon themselves to, you know, retake their business and actually do what's best for them and their customers are actually winning. And I think you'll see that more people are gonna follow that bus, because I think, you know, the Chanels of the world and the LVMHs or whoever who are like, we're sticking to the fashion calendar. Well, they definitely can. Why? Because they probably have $200 million in funding, or, you know, are sitting on like $1 billion in cash that they can ride that out. But, you know, a smaller brand, you just need to do what's best for you. And I think, you know, the more people who start thinking that way, the better off their brand will probably be.
Oh, that was perfect, because that leads right into me asking about, you know, your thoughts on Fashion Week, and should it be separate men and women? Should it be genderless? I'm not sure if you caught any of the shows just now, because it was all
Virtual.
digital. Yeah, I'm not sure how that worked out.
I mean, I have a very controversial view on Fashion Week. I think, you know, I think it's necessary because it does allow the industry to come together and, you know, just have a moment of like, you know, it's like, you know, a tech business's trade show. You know, everyone comes together, there's networking, you see people you haven't seen, you might get some meetings that you wouldn't have gotten. As far as how it helps your business, you know, I think that could almost be really, I don't know. I think, you know, the jury's out on that for me, because I feel like, you know, fashion makes expensive for brands. You're spending like, you know, upwards of minimum $300,000-$400,000, upwards to millions of dollars, putting on a show, putting on market. And, you know, if you don't make those returns and you don't get the traction you need right away, you know, you're now starting at a deficit, when actually you didn't need to do that, because buyers actually don't care. They're happy to come to your showroom and get the story of the brand there, or happy to, you know, consume it however you want to take it out, you know. So, you know, I just don't feel like Fashion Week is a necessary forum for you to, you know, I think it's like an institutionalized myth that if I don't show here, no one's coming. I think that's absolutely not true. I think if you have something that's valuable to the market, people will come. I think what people do need to watch is just creating a brand for brand's sake, because there's too many brands out there. So they will not come if you create, you know, a Tibby that's like 20% cheaper, or you create, you know, a this that is a little bit different. You need to have an original idea so that, you know, the market's interested, and they will come. And I don't think that, you know, you have to be in Fashion Week to make that happen.
I absolutely love that response, because I agree. Because I agree. I agree. So you are CEO of Hemp Tailor. Can you talk to us about the brand and its sustainability message for us, please?
Yeah, Hemp Taylor was started actually a really long time ago. It's 30 years old. The current owner bought it about 10 years ago, but still before hemp was legal. So obviously hemp just became legal in the States in 2017 with the rest of the laws on marijuana, and that allowed the market to open up and, you know, have an opportunity, because now you can import, you know, you can import, export, you can sell it in Europe, you can sell it in the States. And, you know, a lot of brands, as you've probably seen, have started to incorporate hemp as a fabric into their main lines as a sustainable option. It is the most sustainable fabric because it's 100% vegan. It uses less water than organic cotton. So it probably is the most sustainable fabric. And I think a lot of people are trying to figure it out. Why it's difficult is because hemp is by itself is like a really, really bad canvas. So on your body, it's horrible. So really the beauty of how that works is being able to blend it with other things. So we use recycled plastic, we use organic cottons, we use lots of different fibers, and that's kind of what Hemp Tailor has really, you know, excelled at, has been able to create the fabrics that actually feel good on your skin. So there's a huge opportunity there, I feel like, though, across other brands in using this fabric to go forward.
Oh, excellent. That sounds great. So what are your future plans? How do you see it going forward?
I mean, like everyone else right now, I think the plan is just, how do we get out of this, and are we going to get out of this? You know, it's you know, we're in a very precarious time. You know, it's a small brand, and I think just like a lot of people out there, it's hard, you know, when you're a small brand and you don't have a lot of operating capital behind you to keep you afloat during a time like this. So I think right now our strategy is like survive, to be super honest.
No, that's fair. That's
fair.
What are your thoughts about technology and the fashion industry, the role that it is playing, needs to play going forward?
I mean, I think this question has been coming up for probably the last 10 years. And like I said, probably, I don't know, 1/10 of the industry's actually responded. I mean, I think that, you know, just consumers, I mean, look at this whole pandemic, right? And I think we have to, like, preparedness was key. The people who had a strong tech platform, who had, you know, already set it up, had the resources to actually do it, are surviving. The people who were kind of like, you know, I'm just using it as like a subset of my brick and mortar, you know, but I really don't have the infrastructure to run this well, but it's there, are not doing well. I think you have to look at the consumer. Most people shop online. You know, throughout this time, I haven't gone in any stores. Like, I'm still like the crazy person with the gloves and the, you know, I wear the, you know, thing, like when I go to the grocery store, I'm like, everyone stay away, you know, I'm like that person. So, you know, the thought of going on and like, you know, having a store experience is it's a lot right now. So I think a lot of people, you know, have to step up to that e-commerce option. But, you know, I think tech doesn't end with e-commerce. It ends with customer journey. It ends with, like, how do you make it easier for your customers to shop while they're in store? You know, it's technical within the business. Like, you know, do your systems talk to each other? Can you easily help customers from store to store, from warehouse to online? Like, are your systems connected? So I think, you know, we're just at a point in fashion where it is a business, and it's a tech business as well. And, you know, I think that, you know, every probably retailer or store probably needs to have some sort of infrastructure there to make sure they're supporting it.
Okay. Yes. And you are also co-founder of Fashion Tech Connects.
Yes.
Can you please tell us about your journey with that company?
Yeah, so my partner and I, Stacy, started it 3 years ago. We used to have, like, during these fashion week, we used to have these dinners, and we had like all the Black people we knew in fashion, females, and we would have these dinners at Indochine. And, you know, we kind of did it for like, you know, 4 or 5 years. Hi, Sandra. And, you know, they were great. I think at one of the dinners it came up that, you know, a lot of us didn't have proper mentors. You know, we had all gotten our jobs because we were connected somehow or someone had recommended us. But, you know, knowing that in this industry, access is a problem. I mean, like, when I was at Vogue, every intern had the last name of like Rockefeller or, you know, their the daughter of the chairman of Citibank. Like, I was just given interns like, oh, this one needs to be here for the, you know. So the application process was like tenuous at best. So if you were that Black girl who like was like excited and put in their, you know, the internship was probably gone before you tried. So I think Stacy and I really felt it was our responsibility to help people gain access to the industry. You know, I've been working almost 30 years, which is crazy. And, you know, I think through that, obviously, I've gained a lot of relationships. And so we just started Fashion Tech Connects, which gives internships to young ladies of color at four-year universities, internships at fashion tech companies. So at this point, we have Gucci, we have Amazon, we have Stitch Fix, we have Tory Burch, we have a lot of companies now who are working with us, and we've provided internships to a lot of great women from Howard, from Clark, from Harvard, from Columbia. So it's a wide range of women, but you know, our goal is to just keep expanding and doing what we can there.
Oh, amazing! And hopefully, may I say, one day in the UK.
Yeah, no, for sure. I mean, for sure. I think we definitely want to expand. But it's Stacy and I. It's like we need to hire our own intern. But it's literally Stacy and I, you know, just kind of Stacy built the website, like literally that's how we've done it. So I think our absolute goal is to be able to offer things globally. But, you know, right now we're just trying to make sure we have a good footing and are doing, you know, keep doing it to the best of our ability here before we take on more than we can, you know, provide.
Yeah, yeah. And that was very quick and very good. Thank you so much for spending your time with us today.
No,
thanks for, pardon?
I know, I said no, of course.
Great. And I do hope when we can travel, we'll see you in the UK.
Yeah, I'll definitely be back. I actually need to come, but I'm like, again, I'm like ski fun, but I actually have a couple business things that need to happen. So hopefully we'll be out of this soon and able to move around a little more freely.
Excellent.
Safely. Yeah.
Yes. Thanks for tuning in. Join us again next week. Our guest will be Catherine Early from Future Retail. We'll chat about the high street and the future of retail. Until then, bye-bye. Thank you so much. Thank you.
Bye. Thanks.
Bye. Thanks.